Hello, this video is a response to the many excellent comments on the Toyota Land Cruiser 70 series and the fact that the rear axle is narrower than the front, which causes some handling challenges. In that video I explained the remedy, but I didn't explain why Toyota did it in the first place, because the comments are saying, you know, massive Toyota Motor Corporation, surely they could fix this. Yes, they could have. And others saying, well, why would you even want a 70 series of such an old-fashioned design? Approach those two things. The reason why Toyota widened the back axle, as I mentioned, was because of the introduction of the V8 diesel engine, primarily for the Australian market and now available in other markets as well. They needed more space. They had to widen the axle. Because they needed more space for the engine, they widened the body. Now, why didn't they widen the back axle as well? Because if they had, they would have had to widen the body at the back as well, because the design of the Troop Carrier and 76 were actually developed in 1985. And they would have had to widen that. So, and widening that would mean, well, widening the back doors, widening the windows, widening the roof, widening the body floor pan, actually building a brand new car. 70 series Land Cruiser is not built in particularly high numbers. So I imagine that Toyota looked at it and said, well, you know, if we're going to have to invest that much money in a vehicle that doesn't actually sell that many units, is it really worth it? Or can we get away with just adapting the front end and make it acceptable? And the answer is yes, it is acceptable. There are many comments that have actually said, oh, I don't even notice it. It's acceptable. It's not an unacceptable thing. Okay. The reason why they couldn't just add wheel flares is because a large number of these Land Cruisers are sold to NGOs operating in the less developed world, and those vehicles are required to last a very, very long time. And having an add-on wheel arch is not really an option. The 76 Troop Carriers and 79s that are sent into these countries don't have the wheel arches that you and I have when we buy the top spec GXL models here in Australia or in South Africa, for example. We get those nice comfy wheel flares. They're completely, they just don't work in an environment where the vehicles are being operated by people with zero mechanical sympathy. So one of the reasons why the Land Cruiser is what it is, it's a very, very strong vehicle and can withstand the abuse of operators with little mechanical sympathy. That's why the Land Cruiser Troop Carrier, that's the 78, is the most popular vehicle with NGOs in the world, bar none. Because it's the only one that can carry a large amount of people. When I say a large amount of people, I'm talking, I mean, there was a scene in my shoot in 2018 in Africa, and we were asked to help some chaps with a puncture, which we did.
Everyone is very happy, but for one thing.
It is broke.
And when I turned around, the street was, the road was empty. All of these people are now in the back of that Troop Carrier. They all managed to get into that Troop Carrier. No other vehicle can do that. The next vehicle that can get close to carrying that many people is a minibus. They're two-wheel drive, they're not heavy-duty vehicles, and they brake, and they're just not suitable for extreme conditions. From that, you go a bus. Come back and you get to vehicles like Unimogs. Far too expensive, just stupid prices. You know, all of these organizations, NATO's, NGO, they all work to a budget. We all work to a budget. And the Troop Carrier is one of it is the last one left. There are no others. And that's why they continued making the 70 series, is because they wanted to fulfill that market. They also wanted to fulfill a very important market, is the Australian mining community. The mining industry in this country demands the 70 series for exactly the same reason as the NGOs. The vehicles last a long time, driven by people with little mechanical sympathy. End of story. They last longer than most cars. To widen the back would have been so expensive. It would have made the cars too expensive, and therefore they're already expensive. Now they would have been unsuitable for the NGOs because they just cost too much. And likewise, the mines would have said, well, if the vehicle is going to cost that much, then I guess we'll just use other vehicles and replace them more often. The reason why they build and buy the 79 is because they last longer, therefore in the long term they're actually cheaper because they have to replace them less often. The decision with Toyota was economical, and to me this is absolutely obvious. Why do I, and us, the 70 Series Land Cruisers owners, lovers, still like this old-fashioned design? It's very, very simple. Because all modern designs are overcomplicated. And for overland travel into the wilderness, we want simplicity. We need simplicity because simplicity means it's easy to repair, and it's easy to maintain, and it's strong. That's it. We're willing to put up with the less comfort, less gizmos. That's why the industry is so fruitful in building accessories for 70 Series Land Cruisers, because the vehicles are very basic. And guess what? That's why we like them. The very fact that they are basic is why we want them.
And we want a solid front axle.
And the fact that they are basic means that when you open the door, it doesn't go ping, 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 and drive us all completely balmy. We know when the doors open. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for watching. 4xOverland is truly independent of sponsors, and that means that our opinions, reviews and commentary cannot be influenced by commercial interests. Help us stay independent by joining our Patreon family now. Details in the video description.